Today's topic is a German TSW route that I previously reviewed in June 2023. The route may not have had any major updates since that original review, but I still wanted to re-examine it with, for want of a better term, fresh eyes, and see how it holds up in 2025. This is the Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr route add-on, developed by Dovetail Games themselves. Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr was first released in March 2020, as one of the last add-ons in the pre-TSW2 era. As of July 2025, the route is still available on Steam, where the version compatible with the soon-to-be-obsolete TSW5 now costs $43.59 NZD at full price. Go figure. Like so many other TSW routes, this one is quite short and focused primarily on passenger services with modern electric multiple units. You're really pushing the boundaries there, Dovetail. As for what time period the route is set in, I think it's 2019, but don't quote me on that. In any case, the route coverage only goes from Duisburg Hauptbahnhof at the western end to Bochum Hauptbahnhof at the eastern end, with Essen in the middle, but you get two different branches east of Essen, with one line going via Wattenscheid and the other going via Essen-Stiel Ost. The two branches reconvene shortly before arriving at Bochum Hauptbahnhof, from which the line continues on to Dortmund. Why DTG only did the Duisburg to Bochum section for this add-on is anyone's guess. As it stands now, this route is only 35 kilometres, or around 21 miles, in length. Make of that what you will. The base route includes two electric multiple units, namely the Deutsche Bahn BR422 and BR425, for S-bahn and regional express services respectively. The BR425 was a new addition to TSW at the time of Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr's release, but the BR422 was not, having been recycled from the Rhein-Ruhr-Osten route of October 2019. Disappointingly, we don't get the distinctive Verkehrsverbund Rhein-Ruhr livery for the BR422, only the stock standard Deutsche Bahn red, with S-bahn Rhein-Ruhr decals. Later, in April 2021, Dovetail released the Deutsche Bahn BR101 electric locomotive as an add-on for this route, but she can also be driven on various other German routes, such as Nahverkehr Dresden and Bremen to Oldenburg. The BP MMZ 284-4 and AV MMZ 106-1 coaches are also included, but for whatever reason, the silly sods from Chatham omitted the BP MM BDZF 286-1 cab car. It wasn't until the release of TrainSim Germany's Expert BR101 in August 2024 when the cab car finally came to TSW. However, I still haven't got the Expert BR101 because A, I think it's far too expensive for a locomotive add-on, and B, I'm not a fan of crazy advanced locomotives. Just for the heck of it, here's a comparison between the Deutsche Bahn BR101 and her American counterpart, the New Jersey Transit ALP 46. For reference, the latter comes from the disastrous NEC New York to Trenton route, and is also the only NJ Transit locomotive in the game. Although there are several differences between these two, the ALP 46 still bears a strong resemblance to her German counterpart, and to an extent, I still like this locomotive despite hardly ever driving on the Northeast Corridor. Timetable mode includes 71 playable services for the BR425, 141 services for the BR422, and only 30 services for the BR101. The short route coverage results in all three motive power types feeling like caged animals, especially the BR101, since most of her services only go between Duisburg and Essen. Meanwhile, most of the BR425's services are short 25-minute hops between Duisburg and Bochum as part of the RE11 Rhein-Ruhr Express service, which is always formed of two units coupled together as an 8-car train. In real life, RE11 is now operated by BR462 Desiro HC units instead of the BR425. Meanwhile, this older unit, which dates back to 1999, also runs a solo on the RB33 service, which starts or terminates at Essen and can only be driven as far west as Duisburg, after which it continues off the map to its terminus at Aachen Hauptbahnhof. The S-bahn Rhein-Ruhr S1 services with the BR422 are slightly longer, taking 38 minutes to go from Duisburg to Bochum via Essenstiel Ost, while the BR425 takes the faster route via Wartenscheid. I don't normally drive the S-bahn services on this route, not only because of the tight timetable, but also because the BR422 is just a really bland train, in my opinion. Even so, it's still good to have the S-bahn service as an alternative to the BR425's express run, and to be fair to the S-bahn timetable on Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr, it's not as difficult to adhere to as its counterpart on Hauptstrecke München to Augsburg, where the S-bahn services are run by the BR423. Historically, the RE11 express run between Duisburg and Bochum has been one of my go-to options whenever I feel like running a short and easy service in TSW, and that's still the case today. The BR425 is, in my opinion, one of the better German EMUs in this game, even if mainly for the traction motor sounds. The functionality on this unit is better than DTG's original model in TS Classic, but is not as advanced as the aforementioned expert BR101. For comparison, here's the BR425 from Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr alongside the improved version of herself that comes with Bremen to Oldenburg. I know there's a third version included with the Mannheim to Kaiserslautern route of January 2025, but I can't comment on that version because I don't want to buy another route whose only included motive power is all recycled from previous add-ons. If you've got the Main-Spessartbahn, you'll see the rolling stock from that route layer onto Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr in timetable mode. While that makes the rail scene a little bit more varied, there's still the issue of the major stations in Duisburg, Essen and Bochum, not to mention the numerous yards throughout the route, being way too empty and lifeless. It's like how Jamaica Station was on the original Long Island Railroad route. The extended version, released at the end of April 2024, may still have several flaws, but one point in its favour is the significantly busier timetable. Meanwhile, motive power from a few more German add-ons, such as the BR218, Hamburg to Lübeck, Bremen to Oldenburg, and Frankfurt to Fulda, also substitutes into the timetable on Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr. Thinking back to Frankfurt to Fulda, and one of the locomotives that comes with that route, it's now time for the musical Vectron. As for the scenery quality, it is a mixed bag of mediocre and downright subpar. The foliage and trees are okay, for the most part, but there are numerous cases of fields that look ugly due to their lack of proper foliage, and it's especially bad at multiple locations on the S-bahn branch via Essen Ost. Not helping the situation is the lifeless nature of the visible roads, which often have barely any traffic on them. For reference, this particular road is Engelsberger Straße, not far west of Bochum-Ehrenfeld station. As for the non-railway buildings, while there's enough of them around to pull off the look of a built-up city, you'll often see the same assets copied and pasted multiple times over. There's also a massive section of missing OHLE on the eastern side of Essen Hauptbahnhof, specifically the fast line coming in from Wartenscheid. As far as I'm concerned, there's no excuse for such a major error as this. Aside from being disappointed at the general lack of platform clutter, I have nothing to say about the station modelling, so swiftly moving on. Something else I noticed on HRR was the inconsistent NPCs. I call them inconsistent because you'll sometimes get completely deserted platforms, but other times, the people will be walking or standing around as normal. Whenever I take the BR425 for a spin, I often see 0 NPCs getting on or off my train at the stations, which results in a borderline eerie environment on board. In other words, it feels more like I'm running an empty stock move instead of a normal revenue-earning service. Ironically, on other routes, you'll often see trains full of passengers even when they're meant to be out of service. One last issue I want to mention concerns the destination display on the BR425. While it's good to have working displays at all, the destination options for the RE11 service are out of date, and still haven't been updated to match the new destinations shown on the platform screens. The train's system should have options for Kassel-Wilhelmshöhe and Düsseldorf Hauptbahnhof, but they're nowhere to be seen. In closing, I think Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr might just be one of the blandest German routes in train sim world, in stark contrast to the Niedertalbahn and Nahverkehr Dresden. With HRR's mediocre scenery, stupidly short route coverage, limited replay value, and heavy focus on passenger services in mind, I don't think I can recommend this one to other TSW players. This route would be much better if the scenery was overhauled to Niedertalbahn standards, the lighting was upgraded to TOD4, the coverage got extended to Dortmund or Wuppertal, and the timetable was improved to the point where its major stations and sidings are no longer way too quiet. In any case, I still like driving the BR425 from time to time, and I think 5 out of 10 is a suitable rating for this route. If you're after German routes that aren't so bland and uninspired, you'd be better off getting Nahverkehr Dresden, Link Rheinstrecke, and the Niedertalbahn instead of Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr.